Yeah, hey everybody, Cam from Ram here, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I wanted to kind of chat a little bit about roofing and the different types of roofing, different applications, and then also how the subtrades work with the different roofing applications, and how subtrades kind of work through that roofing and membrane scope of work. So yeah, with regards to roofing, obviously many different types of roofing. The main ones that we see from a membrane standpoint or roofing structure standpoint, substrate, would be a EPDM roofing membrane. We also see a TPO roofing membrane, and then a little bit of SPS torch-on membrane as well. From a EPDM standpoint, I mean, two typical styles of EPDM roofing. We're doing a loose lay ballasted EPDM or a fully adhered EPDM. The TPO aspect kind of gets into a little bit different, where you can have fully adhered TPO, you can have welded seams, that sort of stuff. But typically we're seeing EPDM is the front runner for most of these light industrial commercial projects. When I say ballasted loose lay EPDM, what I'm getting at is essentially that roofing structure has some, typically nowadays we're doing a vapor barrier, so like a poly sheeting right on top of the Q-deck. And then we're doing usually a 2-layer staggered joint foam in the center, and then the EPDM rubber goes right on top as the final membrane. When the EPDM goes on top, it's essentially just rolled out, one giant roll. They just roll it along. They come back and we glue the seams together. And then we also glue the vertical and horizontal face of the parapet. The parapet is the little extension of the wall that comes past the roof line. And so that EPDM is essentially loose lay, so just laying on top of the foam, and then it gets glued to the vertical face of that wall that extends up and over. To hold the membrane down so that it doesn't turn into a giant balloon, we end up installing what's called a ballast. So essentially we're putting on Round River rock on top of the membrane in order to hold it down. That is probably the most economical and most common practice in a light industrial commercial kind of setting for a roof. You also have fully adhered EPDM, which we typically see on, I would say, like balconies, canopy areas, places where we essentially glue down the EPDM to the substructure. So if we have a canopy extending out, let's say over dock levelers, over a dock area, or over some man doors or something like that, you would have some structural steel to frame in that canopy. Probably some Q-deck. Then you would have like a protection board, so like a plywood, potentially 1/2-inch ply, and then you would glue down that EPDM on top of that. It would come up the sides and wrap around with a cap flashing on top, creating that bathtub style of look. So yes, we see a lot of that in that fully adhered aspect, canopies, decks. If we have like exterior deck space on a rooftop, we'll pour concrete on the deck and then glue down that EPDM on top of that. You can see that at one of our projects that we're just tidying up right now. Our MA Stewart project has a fully adhered EPDM on a concrete base on the rooftop area. So, and then, we get into the subtrade alignment with the roofer, and, obviously being a large part of the project, the roof, there's a lot of people. It's a big day. We got crane shows up usually early in the morning to load the roof. So they'll be loading the foam and the poly. They'll be loading the rolls of EPDM rubber, albeit whatever other materials they need up there. And then those guys are go. They're hammering it in. They're laying poly, they're laying foam, they're rolling out rubber, they're gluing. It's a big day. And so, to prepare those guys for success, we need to ensure that all of the other work that incorporates in with the roofing aspect is dealt with and is basically ready to go. That can include rooftop units. So we call them RTUs, rooftop units on the roof, compressors on the roof for fan coils. We're talking roof drains, we're talking skylights, We're talking electrical aspects, gas line penetrations, B vents, plumbing vents, all those kinds of things. That all has to be all tidied up and logistically coordinated prior to that big roofing day. And so, some of the big ones are the RTU units, obviously, because they have typically gas and a little bit of electrical, as well as the hole for the ducts to go down off of the RTU. So, those are a large opening in the roof. We have to put blocking in order to that the curb that the RTU sits on has to be flush with the top of the foam. So we put some blocking in for that, so the EPDM membrane kind of rolls up and over it. There's goosies in for the electrical, so it's basically like gooseneck flashing, comes up and around so water can't get back in. You bring electrical out of that. We have the cones for the plumbing vents. We call them witches' hats. So essentially, plumber cuts a hole in the deck, plumber's plumbing stack is stubbed up, roofer shows up and he's able to see that pipe and then weld on or glue on his hat, cut it to the right size for the pipe to poke through. Same as the flashing caps for like B vents for unit heaters, stuff like that. Those are flashings provided by the mechanical contractor, laid out on the roof by the mechanical contractor, all ready to go, so that when the roofer comes there, he sees them, he roofs them in, and away we go. So skylights, same kind of deal, big opening in the roof. We're having to block that up a little bit as well, like I mentioned earlier, to have it flush with the top of the foam, so the skylight has something to sit on. Roofer will come either side, on all four sides of that curb. He'll come up and over, roof it all in, so all we got to do is drop the skylight on top. So yeah, a lot of coordination on that end. Obviously the roof drains are a big aspect to it. And that all, again, has to be all coordinated and laid out. Exactly where does that roof drain go? Where's the low point in the roof? Is the hole cut? Is the pipe underneath ready to hook up the roof drain to it? Is the roof drain on site for the roofer to roof it in? The sump receiver, the roofing screen, all that kind of stuff. All has to be there, ready to go. Roofer shows up, grabs it, roofs it in. Sump receiver's down below on the underside, and then the plumber just hooks up to it. So, definitely a lot of ins and outs for sure to do with roofing. But it's a big show when it does happen. But I guess on my end, and what I always tell people is, the better it is logistically coordinated, the easier and stress-free it goes. So, ensuring that everything is there and laid out, your mechanical contractor, your plumber, your HVAC guy, we're all on the same page. The flashings are all there for everybody to be able to roof in. The slopes, all that kind of stuff is all kind of tidied up ahead of time, is a big deal. So yeah, lots to do with it. It's like I said, it's an exciting time. It's a big day, but when it goes well, it works out really well. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you share, like, and definitely comment if you guys want to hear more about other topics or other things in the industry. Tell your friends. I enjoy kind of teaching a little bit and giving some insight into some of the, the finer points that we deal with in construction and kind of the things that happen. So yeah, share, tell your friends, comment, and look forward to chatting with you guys in the next one. Take care.